just... I'm so rarely at a loss for words. Thank you. This means so much to me. An end to one chapter of my life, and the beginning of another.
Metroid Prime 4 isn't actually Metroid Prime 4. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but if you bear with me, I promise that'll make sense eventually. And I promise I'm not just being negative for clicks or for this video. This is something I've put a lot of thought into. I've worked really hard on this script to prove to you, to show to you why I feel like this game, this Metroid game, completely misses the point of what a Metroid game is supposed to be, and why I feel like it did not live up to the 8-year-long hype. As a video game, it's fine. I mean, if you're looking to play an action-orientated FPS game with a cast of characters to meet, you know, if you only got a few hours on the weekend and you just want to turn your brain off and shoot some stuff, I mean, this game's perfect. That's not Metroid. I'm not avoiding spoilers in this video at all. I'm going to completely break down every facet and element of this game in a way that will possibly ruin the game for you in ways that you'll never be able to unsee. So if you don't want that, you should probably click away now. But if you're willing to hear me out, I would love to explain to you why Metroid Prime 4
someone calls him, we get the location.
The Metroid series began in 1986 when Nintendo's research and development team released the very first game in the series for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The game was designed to be a shooting game that combined the platforming of Mario and the non-linear exploration of The Legend of Zelda, giving players the freedom to go wherever they wanted right from the start. You'd find dead ends and areas you couldn't access yet, and only later, after finding upgrades or items in other areas, could you progress any further. While the first Metroid is a classic, it's the next game in the franchise that would go on to solidify itself as one of the greatest games ever made. That game was Super Metroid. Okay, I looked everywhere for my Super Metroid. I know that I have it somewhere in the house. I released in 1994. Super Metroid drastically expanded the Metroid formula, adding in numerous new power-ups and a richer story, not only setting the standard for the Metroid series as a whole, but together with 1997's Castlevania of the Night, they would go on to create a legacy known as Metroidvania. This game design philosophy went on to inspire countless video games. That's Hollow Knight. Yeah, I know. That's the main one. I know. Nintendo struggled to follow up Super Metroid though, with the series taking a long hiatus until maybe Nintendo finally approached Texas-based developers Retro Studios and asked them to make a Metroid. This time in a 3D first-person perspective, Metroid Prime. Nintendo pressed into Retrowave that this game was not to be a generic first-person shooter, but something that they called a first-person adventure game, essentially taking Metroid's core principles, but adding them for the first time into a 3D world. And with that, Metroid Prime was born to critical acclaim. It managed to do what Super Metroid did in giving players complete freedom to explore and solve puzzles their way. I mean, as you look into Metroid Prime 1's world, the first one represents multiple doors and ways to go the second you step off Samus's ship, with tons of extra lore hidden behind the scanning, loads of optional areas to explore, with minimal handholding.
Hearing radio chatter to Diggs. Let's use that tracer.
Looking at it now.
Puzzle and a maze and a brain teaser and it out these kind of pieces. Sure, sometimes you get stuck for a while, but you finally solve that piece of the puzzle that is deeply satisfying. This is the gameplay we've come to expect from a Metroid game, or more specifically for this video, Metroid Prime. The 2D versions of Metroid have never deviated from the principles of what makes a Metroid game, releasing some of the best in the series, even up to the most recent video. Now you can see what I was saying. Metroid Dread.
Not the signal.
I haven't got enough
Tracing.
storage space. What is it? I also don't have just the game to show for this. I have
Don't
the
you worry.
entire package because Metroid Dread is the oxygen I need to breathe. This is by far almost said the best Metroid, and I don't know if my nostalgia Super Metroid or Metroid Prime are willing to let me do that, but oh my god, this was incredible. Metroid Dread not only manages to be one of the best, if not the best, in the games franchise, but all these years later, it's still managing to compete even with the games that it has gone on to inspire. Games like Hollow Knight or Dead Cells, Metroid Dread hangs in there with the best of them, showcasing exactly why it still deserves to be one half of the genre. The 3D games have had a decent run. They followed up Prime with two more, Prime Echoes and Prime Corruption for the Wii, and I love all of them.
I got 2 possible locations. Best I can do.
Two? Damn it. I got one. Right?
There's other end. Nintendo took the reins this time with this one, co-developing the game with
signals?
Team
Yarrow?
Ninja and giving
What can I
Retro
say?
Studios a
2
well-needed
signals.
rest
Right?
as they were
Tell me if you
feeling
see anything
fatigued
crazy.
after creating 3 incredible games. There was one tiny Wii system-sized issue though
see an
video
Anthem
game.
Right, you hear
Got
that?
baby players to enjoy. So they moved away from Metroid's core design philosophies and they moved more towards simpler controls and a game that more heavily focused on story and action, like what Dead Space 3 did, or Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil's actually doing pretty good. Now they got hotties, baddies, and mummies. And not like mummies, I mean like mummies. You know what I mean? Okay, Nintendo heavily reduced the emphasis on exploration, and by heavily, I mean there was none, with the level progress being locked behind scripted cutscenes, one-way doors to prevent any type of backtracking, and a linear level progression, meaning you just move from point A to point
I'm
B,
in. Seeing
and
natural
you get
caves,
those little
a
credits,
waterfall.
and you feel
Nothing yet.
You know they call this the necropolis?
you did it. You
Our
know how like
fallen
the
are
main
watching.
point
Don't
of
worry,
Metroid,
we'll find
the thing
Diggs.
that's fun
His
about
story
this
ends
series and this genre is when you manage to find an upgrade so that you can then progress somewhere else in the game. Like, I guess that's the whole point. Well, in Other M, the game would hand you the upgrades as part of the story progression. An NPC would literally call you up when you hit plot points and just say, hey, you can use the rockets now. Players and fans of the series hated these changes, and Other M went on to be described as such a massive misfire and a flop that it almost killed the entire series. Yeah, and with that, the series went back into another 7-year-long hiatus, and another 3D Metroid
What's this?
wouldn't
A
be
freelancer being held prisoner.
What? Who?
His name is Hopkins. Diggs has gone too far.
This love got more inside of a teenage boy this old. And not just because it said the word Metroid, but because it specifically said the word Prime with a big old 4 at it. Because I saw this as a return to the 3D first-person adventure genre that respected what made Prime. We were going back to the future. No, we were going back to when these games were what you gotta think about, the first great Prime games followed that core design philosophy that Metroid had established. Up till that point, there was Other M that deviated. So why would they call this game Prime 4 unless it was a Prime game and played like the other Prime games? Otherwise, they would have called it something different, like Other M. They would have called it Metroid Kissing My Ass. I need you to understand that when I saw Prime 4 specifically,
They're taking
I
fire. Get
immediately
over
knew
there.
what kind of
Understood.
this was. One filled with tension, puzzles, and mystery, and atmosphere, and investigation, upgrades that unlocked new paths, secrets,
Yes,
just waiting
gather
to
the
be
freelancers to
explored,
fight this
multiple
child.
roads and ways to go, and not just straight linear vagina hallways for me, a Metroid fan. This logo was life. It was the air I breathed for the last 8 years. I have nothing left. At this time, I was so excited. I remember thinking, surely now, finally, it won't be long. It's just a couple of years until we finally get a brand new Metroid. Finding out that Retro
Hidden
was
crates.
making the 4th installment of what was a trilogy
Diggs
that
had a
they
deal with the
made
Dominion.
only went
Yes,
further to install
but
me
with
with
no
hope and
fragments.
confidence that this
What's
new
he
game
going to
was
trade?
going to be everything I wanted it to
What?
be. That it was going
Diggs
to
was
be
going to sell
shoulder
him to the
shoulder
Dominion.
with
Weapons
the
for
other games in the
freelancers.
Metroid Prime
That's the
trilogy.
deal.
And not just because I made that up, but because he actually said it in this video. He said it right there. And while it was depressing, it did also make sense. Because those first 3 Prime games, Nintendo didn't develop them. Retro Studios did. And now, all of a sudden, all these years later, Nintendo was gonna give it a stab? I mean, heck, the last time they tried to make a Prime game, it was, so what are they gonna do? Make a Prime game copying off of Retro Studios' work?
Central
complex, so
Tower. We
challenging,
can't
but
let
also
things
makes
get away
it
this time.
friendly
You hear
for
me?
I definitely hear you.
people in 2025, not knowing what direction to take. They pulled up Metro Studios, who I'm sure were very surprised to get a call 2 years into this game's development after it being announced without them. I would love to have known what that conversation was like with me and Mo calling up Retro Studios. Hey girl. Thankfully, Retro Studios needed the which honestly, as bad as this news was at the time, that was awesome. This was like the Avengers assembly when it comes to Metroid Prime. The creators of the trilogy back, this just gave me so much more hope than before. Surely it won't be shattered now that you have somewhat of a better understanding of what I appreciate in a Metroid game, what I was looking for when I saw Metroid Prime 4 was being developed. You'll understand why on September 12th, 2024, I had this reaction when a second trailer hit the top. It's too close to make that joke. Just watch.
I need assistance.
What is, wait, what is this? Wait, what is this? This isn't what I thought it was. Is it? What is this? Wait, sorry. What am I, wait, am I having an aneurysm?
Thank you.
Metroid Stranding? Is this, wait, I just quoted myself in the monitor as I'm reacting to this now, even after having finished the game, and I
Things
wasn't
can't be
using
far.
it.
We'll find
This
him.
right
I
here
promise.
was the first moment in all of this where I really, truly started to have some doubt. I couldn't comprehend what purpose it would serve in a Prime game. I mean, were they trying to make it open world, influenced by Breath of the Wild, like every other
This is
video
crazy.
game seems to be now? In November of 2024, over a full year before the game even releases, announces that it's actually going to be a soft reboot for the series. And they stated that the trilogy arc ended with Prime 3, which, like, okay. So is it Prime 4 or not? I feel like this was the beginning of a return that happened behind the scenes. When Nintendo revealed this initiative, when they were developing the game, it was Prime 3. When Retro Studios took over, it became Soft. It's not Prime 4, but Nintendo's already announced it as Prime 4, and I don't think Retro Studios wanted to change the name, so now it's Prime 4, but it's not Prime 4. I was starting to get to the point where I was putting red string on my corkboard, so I decided to stop watching and reacting to anything Metroid Prime 4 related online and just wait to play the game.
Electricity. Yes. Things must be using a Dominion device.
Take out the generators
You
to
know, it's
shut that
funny
down.
that, well, one, watching sick trick, right? And two, you probably clicked on this video hoping to watch a Metroid Prime 4 review, and as of, yeah, I'm on page, like, 4 of this script, and I haven't said a word about the game, so I really appreciate you getting this far and waiting. Show you, the game starts so strong. Space with sets, blasting pirate ships, hero shot in a war-torn rocky range, cinematic, intense, polished. It's the best looking part of the entire game, and it's all glorious. It's such a fun time. This intro sets something fantastic. It's awesome. The same 10 minutes that we hands on previews and demos at Best Buy and so on allow players to play and see leading up to the release. But as soon as that demo ends, it immediately teleports to hallways. Hallways. Linear hallways. One end. And this is where
We have to draw Diggs out.
the rest of it.
Diggs! About time you came out of hiding.
Sure, you caused me a lot of problems, but that,
Next room.
all that must sting. Makes me
None of
laugh
the
every time I
scope,
think
none of the
about it.
mystery, none of the exploration. It's not in any way fleshed out. No, that's this is very fleshed. If you enjoy the intro, I hope you do, because nothing like that ever happens again. Where once you doors
Yes, and
unlock
my
when the
friends who
game
found
says
them.
that they unlock.
Their stories
the
will
upgrades
continue.
like the
Not a bad
grapple and
day's work.
ice shot and the flame shot, they're all handed to you as part of the plot. They are quite literally unmissable as you're playing through
Thank
this
you.
linear
Now come
action
home.
first-person
We have
shooter
much
game.
to
I mean,
talk
there is no
about.
branching
it.
paths. There's not a single moment. You know, when like you do something and you feel good and you go, ah, I don't know why it's like a cartoon villain, but that's how it feels in my heart. Not here though.
Where once in the Metroid Prime series you would find sprawling, meticulously designed maps with branching paths and seemingly endless exploration, in Metroid Prime 4 you would find
Where the first game's opening area greets you with a bunch of different doors and areas you can go right off the rip, this game greets you with just one way. There are optional spaces and areas that exist in the game, areas that you can access right away, but the things behind those areas are always not essential. They're optional upgrades, like 2 missiles or 2 health, and they never attempt to challenge you in any kind of meaningful way. It's just an area, you know what item you need to open it, you open it, oh, I have more missiles now. That's not exploration, that's just following a path and ticking off a checklist. The idea of a Metroid game is that these areas you pass and you can't access right away, they're supposed to lead to expansive new areas, maybe whole new worlds. There's absolutely no reason to backtrack unless you do want to grab these optional upgrades, but these optional upgrades aren't supposed to be the reason that you backtrack. They're supposed to be there for when you do have to backtrack. There's something new and exciting to find along the way, not something you need to intentionally go and get like it's a chore rather than a reward. Throughout this game, there is only ever one direction to move. Some areas might seem like they have multiple ways. Maybe there is actually a locked door, but you will never have to leave the surrounding area or backtrack even a little bit to unlock that door, because the game will always funnel you down the one remaining open way to go, and behind that way, shortly after, will be the answer to come back and unlock that first door. And that's not a Metroidvania, and that's not the core philosophy that the games have been built on. That's just a linear video game presenting you with a chore, and hopefully that chore is fun. The way this game is delivered, the way that it looks, even down to the starting area, which I feel was visually created to echo and mimic the beginning area of Metroid Prime 1, this Fury Green area, which is vegetated and it's lush and it feels like a forest with twisting directions and roots. It gives that vibe in its presentation, not in reality, but I do feel like it looks very nice. Once again, just like the intro, these 4K visuals and the atmosphere and the graphics, this was the other area that was heavily featured in the trailers and the marketing. And I think it's because it screams Metroid Prime visually. Like those light rays, particle effects is going a long way at making this feel like a GameCube remake. But I like it. I like it. Like, none of that's a negative for me. I really do like it. While I do really love this art style and the way that the game looks here, I do feel like it's just a nostalgic, pretty coat of paint aimed to disguise the very shallow game design hiding underneath. It's meant to look like a Metroid game, even if it doesn't play like one. I spend a lot of this video telling you guys how linear Metroid Prime 4 is compared to, like Metroid Prime 1, and I just hoped you would believe me. But I realize that's not the world we live in. I figured the only way I could really, truly prove and show to everybody how linear this game is would be to take the map of the game and take my gameplay and in real time map out exactly how linear this world is. But then I realized that's incredibly time consuming and would take hours just to prove that I'm right. And surely that wouldn't be worth my time, I thought. I said to myself as I laid up at night, trying to convince myself not to do it. Yeah, I did it. This is the entire map of the location Flare Pool in Prime 4. I've picked this one specifically because, well, there's only like 3 to choose from. And I figured Vault Forge was too easy. Just like it is in the game. I mean, there's nothing here or here. So I figured I would challenge myself and do, well, I wanted to say one of the more complicated maps, but honestly, this feels a little silly because I think you can tell by looking at the picture even that it's just from here to here. I probably could have saved myself a lot of time, but let's do it anyway. So you start the game with this really long, straight, linear path through a very large majority of the map, and then you get here. This elevator takes you to a very small section with one puzzle, I guess you could call it, where you do the bull thing. Then you move to another elevator, which brings you to do this boss fight, or mini boss fight. Now in this room, you're presented with 3 doors, which you might be thinking, well, doesn't that go against everything you've been saying? You have 3 different ways that you can go here.
So, this is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael.
Well, this door up here at the back of this room over here, it requires 2 people to open it. And for you mathematicians at home that know that this is a single player game, you probably figured out that means we need an NPC as part of the story. If you take this door right here, it leads down a narrow, short hallway into a save room, which means, as I've been saying, there is actually only one way that you're supposed to go. So you see me going back here into this room. Now here in this room, you meet one of the only tolerable NPC characters, so that's nice for us. And you also do a kind of a puzzle. I mean, not really. All you really do is put the morph ball into a highlighted area and then shoot the spinny thing. But it's the closest thing you're gonna get to a puzzle in this game, so enjoy it.
Do you know where your
You have
sentinel's
your little
headed?
NPC
We were tracing a
friend.
shaper relic
Look
the
at that.
scars had stolen.
That's
A big
nice.
one, far
That's
from the
sick. That's
forge.
sweet. So
I'll
once
send you the
again,
last
this is the
coordinates.
plot
Got it.
unlocking the way forward for you. From here, you move into a room that has another kind of puzzle and something that and that allows you to move forward into the next area where here in this hallway, entire map.
What were your missing sentinel's exact orders?
Track, report, and bring
Most
back
of
the
my-
shaper relic taken by the scars.
I don't think
Who
I
knows
had
what
any
those little
idea what I
pincers
was
are
getting
planning to do
myself
with it.
into when Abyss reached out offering to send me the world's highest resolution headphones. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Send them over, I'll like chuck them on my head and try them out or whatever. And then no.
This is the last place I heard
Not
from.
one,
Hang on.
not 2,
Got it.
not 3, not 5, but 6 boxes. They sent over the ultimate listening experience and this guy, DMS, to actually show me how the whole thing freaking works, which apparently involves turning on the heater in the warehouse because it doesn't like work if it's cold or something.
Sure learned something today.
So this is the stack shelf. 4-shelf system. What are you trying to sell me today? Because so far we've got special fancy racks that hold 100x weight that you would conceivably want to put in them.
Yes.
That sounds dangerously like audiophile.
Oh no, there's a point. So this is about as crazy as somebody could go for a setup of these headphones. You could totally make it work with like half the gear, but this is if you wanted to go with the most absolutely insane setup you could possibly think of and cover every base.
Okay. So that's the Stackzilla. Now this is a more fancy pants stack than I've ever seen. It has an HDMI connection labeled I²S. What the devil is that for?
It is a whole bunch of things. But the really short version of this is that it's an R2R DAC. There's basically 2 types of DACs, Delta Sigma and R2R, and R2R maximums.
So what is R2R?
R2R is essentially a different architecture, and a lot of people praise it for being more resolving in its high frequencies and less prone to quantitative noise.
So before we go any further, how much is this?
I want to say that's a few thousand. Yeah. The DAC is $3,400. Now the big one,
How much is this going to cost when we're done?
it's a lot cheaper than Orpheus, but
That's
it
not a
is.
selling point.
It's not a selling point, but
Fucking Orpheus. That's like
world. Yeah. So in like everything.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, everything. That's the thing. Oh,
This is so tight.
oh yeah, that's not sounding like 70s.
Star hides are
You
down.
can almost
Good
feel it in your
riddance.
chest, even though it's just here.
I could find something with those here.
See, in almost every video that I did about headphones, way back when I used to make videos about headphones, I would complain about lyrics. And we got to the point where I think a lot of our viewers thought I didn't like lyrics. I do. It just has to be done right. This is about as right as I can possibly get. They're not perfect. No offense to you, this, guys. I feel like a science experiment, but
I would advise a lot. This is amazing. Yeah. I have used these before. Yeah. On $100 amps.
yeah, it's nice. Like, what if you come up to an O2 or something?
You could. It's like power. Something power. There are two things of power, but this is like, the ultimate system is the ultimate system. And it is, trust me, it's better.
So how much of a headphone do you size then?
You want to know all three prices? That one's $5,000.
Okay, that one's that. So this is a much more conventional
Cool thing about this.
headphone shape. Wow, these are really like.
Yeah. So this can flex a little bit too, but notice that you do have the sliders on the side. Note about that.
That's the last of
When
them.
you move it,
Good.
there's no
Let's look for
pins,
signs of
there's no
resistance.
springs in there. Those are permanent magnets. That's just always hold. I'll be 100 years old and that'll still be the same.
Are these ones a little easier to drive?
A little bit. So, but here's why. That driver is very similar to this,
Yeah.
but the speakers are obviously closer to your ears.
Found a beacon.
And because of
They
that,
made
you
it
get
out
a much
here
more
alive and left a
intimate
trail.
vocal sound. So the
Okay.
mid-range is a
Thank
little
the
bit more full
big
on this in
rabbit's great
comparison.
palm.
And it feels more
Okay,
like I'm
got
wearing
their next
headphones.
location.
This is more speaker-like.
Got it.
But resolution-wise, they're on the same
It's not right.
Yeah.
There's no distortion to the vocals. It's
No.
almost like they're on a completely like if I had a multi-mode fiber connection, it's like they're on separate
Yeah.
light wavelengths. Like
It's because it's so fast.
Bryn?
Okay,
This
this is
is
the
really
bassiest
far
song
from
I have on the
You
entire
know,
thing. If
The
anything
scars
ever
that
messes
took
with
that rabbit
vocals,
dragged
it's
it all
this
the
and
way
I
out
never
there.
repeat it.
It's like they're trying to
So
hide
here we've got a
something from
female
us.
vocalist
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of just
Everything in this mix is warm.
Yeah.
And there are songs I've listened to that are just nothing but warm, and you can still hear everything.
It's almost like the lower the note, the deeper it goes into your body.
Yeah.
So this is the original master. That's Tidal's whole shtick, right?
Yeah.
See, this is one of the reasons that I actually have not heavily
A second
invested into
beacon, Bryn.
audiophiles
Was
here.
hoping
because
for
it
more
really makes me
sentinel-shaped
not
finds,
enjoy
but
trashing
I'll take it.
as much
Wait,
as I usually do.
I've
I
had
know
that
where
problem
this
a
is
couple
pointing
times.
us.
But I
And
mean,
I'm
we're
not the kind of person who's
abandoned.
like,
On my way.
yeah, you know, wow, the mastering on this song is like so great. But that's not a
Oh,
good
yeah.
sounding.
the thing is, though, is too, like, there's so much music that I enjoy whether it's mastered well or not. So that was the 5. These are $1,000 less than that.
Okay, so these are $4 grand.
And these are $1,000 less than those.
Okay, so those are $3 grand.
Yeah.
Hit me with the second to last bass heavy range, right? This is a more pleasing sound to me.
Yeah, it's more relaxed. It's not quite as analytical.
Just as fast.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference in the driver tech then?
You're approaching
It's
the vine.
got slightly less
Freelancer?
resolution than these.
Yeah,
Not
right.
a
Just
lot,
Be
but
careful.
these are going to perform a little bit differently on, like, stuff like
I'm at the mine
And
entrance.
yeah, the
It looks
tuning
like
is
a
meant
war
to be a
zone.
little bit more,
Sentinels must have fought the
more
scars on
relaxed,
their
but
way in.
they want to go for more relaxed, but just as much. Like,
Because it's hard to have a ton of detail without being able to listen to it.
exactly.
With that said, I didn't, at least in like 10, 15 minutes, find those fatiguing in the same way that I do some super analytical headphones.
Stars barricaded the mine
Get on
entrance.
this.
Looks recent.
Okay, look for explosives. The stars always
They
have
don't sound as
explosives.
good
Come on.
as the top two ones.
They're
No doubt.
$2,000 less.
But they sound better than any other headphones that I've ever tried. So it's like, if I had to say which is the best headphone, definitely it's more comfortable.
Yeah, well, that's a lot easier to daily drive.
But that, to me, is like, it's almost like a different class of product. It's just strapped to your head.
This is, I'm gonna sit down and have like, this is like I'm gonna sit down and have an out-of-body experience or something.
Yeah. You know what, though? I feel like if we want full effect here, I should probably go. That sounds so good. Yeah, it's talking about $3,000 to $5,000 fixtures, but
I think this is a lot more fair than a lot of crazy stuff out there.
yes, it's about, you know, the context for it.
Because, I mean, they're not just going for, this sounds crazy, what are that? Or what are, like, just something. They're building something that's going to last literally forever.
Bomb's done arming.
Get some distance.
That did it. Barricades down.
Great. Into the mines.
Arcanist equipment. Wanna bet that Shaper relic's in here too?
Likely. And you're looking for 6 Sentinels. If you find anything else, let me know.
Bryn, one of your team.
Bar. Is he okay?
Fought a lot of scars. Don't think anyone made it.
How is he? Can you help him?
Sentinel Bar. Can you stand?
Yes. Took some hours, but I'm coming with.
Are you sure?
Lancer, I have to see this.
Good. If the other Sentinels are dead, can you collect their signets?
Of course. Sentinel. I found one of your people.
It's Sentinel Jared.
Right. Understood.
Brand, I found another of your Sentinels.
Okay. Okay.
Sentinel Aldous.
Mark, watch your systems.
It's down!
Finally.
Here's the last segment.
Sentinel bar? What happened?
What the scars took? Went volatile. Squad tried to seal it off.
Bar, you okay?
Wound reopened. Have to stop. Find the last Sentinels.
Will do.
Hey everyone, it's Joe from National Tech, and this is an exciting video because the Maxwell 2 is finally upon us, and as of this video, this is day 1 of the embargo lift, which means you can now click to buy and order
I'll tell
one
you
for
if I see them,
yourself.
Brent.
So, different ways, but I just want to preface it for one, I've only had this for about 2 weeks or so, and that's usually
What,
testing,
is that an
but with
R6?
firmware changes
Huge.
affecting the behavior of the headset, it's not quite as long as you think. Two is I'm traveling to CES, so I want to also like say thank you guys so much for the support, because several years ago I was just trying to get my phone out there, and now I'm going to CES as a member of the press of the world, getting to see and experience a lot of cool stuff, and that's a lot
that
because
R6
you
still
guys
standing?
are
There's the top one.
so it's not to make excuses for the coverage of this headset, but because of all of this short-term stuff, it's not going to be quite as in-depth as I normally go. The good news is, and my focus in this video is to help answer some burning questions that I know a lot of people are going to have, and it's how it
Keep
compares
going,
to
freelancer.
Maxwell 1,
You're whittling that
maybe how it
down.
compares to
I
other
really
flagship
hope so.
headsets, if it's worth the price increase or not. It's a video with a little in price, but not by much, as well as my general user experience to help answer as many questions as I can. I just wanted to interject and add something
That's
in
it.
case this changes your
Your
purchase
joystick's down.
decision. I asked honestly if I was allowed to
Now that
say
you've
this.
got breathing room,
There
any
is
time
an
for
active
Sentinels?
noise cancellation version coming of the Maxwell 2. I don't know the exact launch date. I don't think they've even decided yet, and I don't know the price yet. Again, not sure if they can pick that out. So I got approval to say that. I'm not breaking any embargoes here, but I didn't want to keep that from you all because if you wanted an ANC headset, you want everything that Maxwell does. Because keep in mind the noise cancellation tech on the mic is pretty insane. Maybe keep your eye out in the future, especially if you already have a Maxwell 1. This was sent to me by Odyssey for
I found
review.
the
It won't
Sentinel.
affect what I say
Sentinel
about it. I
Tam.
believe honesty
This
is the
shaper
best
relic may
policy,
be
and I've been
R6.
really thankful for these
Tam
brands
must
for
have died
enabling
silencing
that
it.
because
If
I
your
haven't
Sentinels
really
ever
faced
shut
any
it down,
pushback from
things will be way
companies if
worse.
I've had
True.
critical things to say.
That's true.
This isn't all going to be
It's-
sunshine and rainbows with the Maxwell
Yeah.
2. There's some things
You
that
did
I
good
wish
work.
would
I'm
be a
sorry
little
I
bit
couldn't
differently.
find your
Maybe they
last
improved more upon.
He might have made it out.
But I will
Thanks to
cover
you, we
all of
saved
that.
Darian.
So let's
And the
start
others
with
can
how
be
it
at peace.
compares to
I have
the
arrangements
Maxwell
to
1
make.
and
And the
what
missing
changed
Sentinels
at a
tracked
high
down.
level.
Take care,
Starting
Brent.
with the pads, there are a couple changes on the Maxwell 2. For one, the opening is larger. You can see on the Maxwell 2 there's quite a bit of height here, but it's also significantly wider. I never really had an issue with the stock pads, but I guess for some that are chasing more space, this will be a nice and welcome change. It's really no deeper up front. It feels a little bit deeper on the rear. I measured just slightly more depth. Part of it is how the baffle design is, but the pad material, the actual surface area, is smaller on the Maxwell 2 because of this, because they kind of kept the same general outer pad dimensions. So if you'll notice, I can't lay this headset flat. That's because the Maxwell 2's yoke doesn't fully articulate 90 degrees. It's stuck at 45. I thought this would be a bigger issue, but it's still pretty comfortable to wear around my neck because the initial clamp force is actually quite light. And compared to the Maxwell 1, it's comparable to each other. There's some differences in weight that can affect clamp force, but it's basically the exact same headband design. When I look at the Maxwell 1, obviously you can lay it flat around my neck. It really wasn't any more or less comfortable. It's just a different sensation. I actually don't mind that it angles in just a little bit. The other thing that I really like on the new one, so the old Maxwell you would twist off the pad, and I might as well leave the baffle open so you can see it. The new Maxwell 2, magnetic. How amazing is this? This is